Bulls Nation, you've seen me over the past couple of days talk about a lot of the free agency acquisitions and players coming in and out from the Chicago Bulls, and more specifically some of the players and what their roles will be for the Chicago Bulls. However, I feel it is also very important to discuss some of the players that have been on this team for the past few months, to say the least, and what they could bring to this star-studded new team for the Chicago Bulls. And one player that I feel like I really want to talk about in today's video is Nikola Vucevic, someone that I've said for months now that we have yet to see the best of what he can do on this team, and let's see what I believe he would add to this star-studded team in this video. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? It's the Aiden Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today, we've got a Chicago Bulls related video referring to Nikola Vucevic and what he could add to the star-studded Chicago Bulls team, the Chicago Bulls roster. In the end, this guy was traded at the trade deadline, I believe only had 26 games with no time to really train or get used to or adjust to the system, and he still performed with some decent numbers for the Chicago Bulls, and I cannot wait to see what he could bring to this star-studded team, and often forgotten player for many people. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aiden Sports Show YouTube channel, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls, and more specifically Nikola Vucevic and what he could bring to this team. Now, the reason why I'm talking about Nikola Vucevic and not necessarily DeMar DeRozan again, Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball, is I've talked a lot about those players already, and of course, talking about them again will make me more happy because again, this is the changing of the gear for the Chicago Bulls. We are taking things up to another level, a new gear, a new element, and hopefully more wins, and those players are a big part of that. But this is a player that I feel that people forget a lot about for the Chicago Bulls. Of course, with all the new acquisitions, you kind of say, oh, look, it's the new toys, it's the new players that are coming in. We need to appreciate them. We need to welcome them in. We need to make sure they feel loved and appreciated. But someone that I feel, although he is forgotten, is still someone that I truly believe is valued by Chicago Bulls fans, Nikola Vucevic. In his 2020-2021 season, Orlando and Chicago Bulls, his averages was 23 points per game, 11.7 rebounds per game, 3.8 assists per game, shooting 47% from the field and 40% from the three-point line. So at the end of the day, this guy is a serious player, ladies and gentlemen. He has made the playoffs with that Orlando Magic team for the past few years now. And now it looks like he's going to have a great opportunity to make the playoffs, and hopefully even more than that on this Chicago Bulls team. So I want to talk about why I feel like this was important, because at the end of the day, whether we see DeMar DeRozan as the guy that can change things, where we see Lonzo Ball as the guy that can change things, where we see Alex Caruso as the guy that can change things on the bench, in my opinion, this guy, and I've said it for a while now, and that has not changed, this guy was the changing factor. This guy it's the domino effect. This guy began things, and it only went positive from there. We started something, and we haven't finished yet, but we started something, and we've progressed a long way since we traded for Nikola Vucevic. This was the key foundation. This was the trade that made things very well known about what the Chicago Bulls were going to do. I'm very thankful that we have Nikola Vucevic on this team, and I really believe he should get a lot more appreciation than what he does. But by the time the regular season starts, and by the time that he starts stepping onto the court with a full preseason, full training camp, and of course a little bit more chemistry with some of the players that we're building around, I think he'll become an extremely important player, and I hope that we can see better from Nikola Vucevic than what we saw last year, which was a pretty great return for someone that played 26 games, very little training, very little really time to get to know or adjust to the system. This guy played 26 games and he averaged nearly 21 and 12 for the Chicago Bulls. So we have a long way to go, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm very excited about what this team can bring. And now I want to talk about what Nikola Vucevic can bring. This guy, in my opinion, is a center that I think 90% of the NBA wants to play with. One, he's very unselfish. He's a willing and gifted passer at that center position. Of course, he's no Nikola Jokic. He's not someone that's going to be doing getting triple doubles in terms of assists every single night. He's not Nikola Jokic in that area, but as a center in the NBA, averaging nearly 4 assists per game is a very solid return for a big man. People are going to want to play with him. He's going to be a dynamic post threat. He's going to be a good mid-range and pick-and-pop three-point shooter. And in my opinion, offensively, this guy is going to have probably the easiest time he's had in a long time in the NBA. And I want to give you some examples here. With Nikola Vucevic, I see mainly next season, I see him being in the post a lot more than what we saw last season. Now, that doesn't mean that he won't go to the pick and pop, he won't go into the mid-range, but at the end of the day, with so much threat and so much talent in this team, when he's in the post, I feel like this team is going to be very difficult to guard. The fact that we have spot-up shooters, the fact that we have good isolation players, the fact that we have some decent three-point shooting all the way around the team, the fact that we have Patrick Williams, who's going to be a willing run-out and transition player. We have diversity in our scoring, and Nikola Vucevic in the post means A, we're going to have players slashing to the basket, DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and I'm sure Lonzo will get into the fray as well. And let's not forget Patrick Williams. Those players are willing cutters to the ring, and those players will get open shots. And that makes Nikola Vucevic's job easier because it's going to be very hard to double team Nikola Vucevic in this team. Extremely difficult to do. Because at the end of the day, who do you want to take the shot? Because if Nikola Vucevic is double teamed, you have 4 players on this team that are going to be very good at making shots for the Chicago Bulls. DeMar from the mid-range, Zach LaVine from basically anywhere, Lonzo Ball from the three-point line, Patrick Williams from the mid-range, three-point line, and he can slash to the basket. This is going to be a pretty good offensive display from Nikola Vucevic from the post, and that's where I see most of his damage coming from. However, I also see a lot of damage coming from the mid-range and the pick and pop and the screens. And this is where Nikola Vucevic becomes more diverse in the way that he can score. Because again, not all of the starting 5 will play with each other every single minute of every single game. Nikola Vucevic might get some game time off of the bench with Alex Caruso, Kobe White, and all of the bench players. And maybe he can contribute in that way for the Chicago Bulls by being a good three-point shooter off of the bench. Again, this bench is very young, and I feel like we're going to be a team that has such a great starting 5 that some of those players will make their way and play with some of the bench guys. Again, the Warriors is a perfect example. There was always a starter on the field or on the court every single time the bench came in. There was always a starter. I see the Bulls being a lot in that area as well. I see the Bulls definitely taking part in that. When we may see maybe Lonzo and Vucevic play off of the bench sometimes and play with that bench unit compared to the starting lineup. And you have Zach and DeRozan maybe handling the starting lineup. And of course, the fourth quarter, they all come on, we become a dangerous threat. Nikola Vucevic, in my opinion, the forgotten man, but definitely one of the most important players on this team. And I truly value what he would bring to this Chicago Bulls team. This is going to be, in my opinion, the easiest season that he's had in a long time. They're going to make his job so much easier. Because again, as I said before, you're not going to be able to double team Nikola Vucevic in the post. And if you do, someone's going to make you pay for that. You're not going to be able to always guard the pick and roll and the pick and pop. Because if you do, someone's going to make you pay for that. For example, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic. DeMar DeRozan, a beautiful pick and roll player. Also, a very solid isolation player. You have to do a pick and roll. You put Nikola Vucevic in that pick and roll. You have a solid mid-range shooter in Nikola Vucevic, a solid three-point shooter in Nikola Vucevic. You also have the threat of Dead-Eye DeRozan making mid-range shots in your face. And you also have the ability to slash to the basket depending on what the opponents give to you. They can't guard them all, ladies and gentlemen. The pick and roll game with Zach and DeRozan is going to be deadly. Lonzo as well. This is going to be a beautiful team. And not to mention, that post game is going to be just as good as it's always been. Nikola Vucevic, in my opinion, is one of the underdogs of this season. DeRozan is going to be fantastic. Lonzo is going to be game-changing. Zach LaVine is going to take another leap forward. But in my opinion, keep your eyes solely on Nikola Vucevic and just see how much of a better player he will become and how easier his shots will be with a team like ours around him. He's definitely the forgotten man, but in my opinion, he's one of the most important men on this team. And do not sleep on Nikola Vucevic in this upcoming season. He's going to be dangerous for the Chicago Bulls. And yes, he might not have 25 and 12 a night like he would on a team, say, like the Orlando Magic and the Chicago Bulls last year, because we have so much talent. Not everyone's going to be scoring 20 plus a game every game. It's just as simple as that. It won't happen every single night, but he's going to get easy shots, and this game's going to come very naturally to him. And the fact that he's unselfish as well means that once again, we have 5 starting lineup players that are going to be willing to pass the ball off to the right player. This team, in my opinion, with the right system around them, with Billy Donovan at the helm, as the head coach, making sure these guys are on track and what they want to do, playing unselfish basketball like we did last season, and again, with a solid preseason, training camp, starting regular season, and hopefully a playoff push, Nikola Vucevic will only get better and better for this team, and I can't wait to see it. And he's still got a lot to offer for this team. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I really wanted to talk about Nikola Vucevic today, because again, with all of the news, all of the rumors, all of the players coming in and coming out of this team, the Larry Markkinen situation, everything is going to fix itself at the end of the day. But someone that I feel like not many people want to talk about or have talked about recently is how good Nikola Vucevic will be with this team in place. I've talked about Lonzo, I've talked about DeRozan, I've talked about Caruso. I will eventually talk about Zach LaVine as well, but Nikola Vucevic is just as important piece to this team as all of those additions, in my opinion, and I can't wait to see how good his job will be once the time comes. Have a wonderful and safe day. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.